I think the strongest reason not to believe in God is the existence of suffering. So, so all religions have an important question to answer if they want to be taken seriously and if they should be taken seriously. So what do you do when you have evidence against your worldview? You have to see if your worldview can accommodate that evidence in some way. In other words, you need more detail. Your worldview has to supply some kind of accessory explanation. And here's where I think philosophy can't answer all of the questions. I think here's where the detail about how the problem of suffering has to be answered can only come from a specific religious worldview. Philosophy can help you think about whether the religious worldview is a good one and can help you articulate it, but the actual answer has to come from the religion itself. What does Christianity say about the problem of suffering? I think Christianity certainly admits that suffering is a problem, that suffering is a good reason to think that God doesn't exist. And nonetheless, it claims to offer, if not an answer, a way to think about suffering. And this answer has to do with the fact that the God of Christianity is not just a worldview, he is a person, and as a person, he is himself capable of suffering. And not only is he capable of suffering, but the Christian worldview says that he has suffered. He has suffered in understanding what each and every one of us are going through when we suffer, and he has suffered by entering into the world in human form, the form of Jesus Christ. And this claim on the part of Christianity gives us a couple of things we can say about suffering. One of them is that, well, we have someone on the cosmic level, the creator of the universe himself, who knows exactly what it's like to go through what we're going through. So we have a sort of cosmic level empathy that we can attach to and take comfort from. Second, the Christian story says to us that because God himself entered into the world in human form and suffered for us, our suffering is able to take on a particular meaning. We are able to give meaning to our suffering by, in some sense, participating in the suffering of God himself. And this gives us a power over the way in which we respond to our own suffering. So we're no longer helpless in the face of it, but we are, or at least have the ability to be active in the way that we respond to it, because God himself took on suffering willingly. Third, the Christian worldview says that suffering is not the end of the story, but rather that Jesus' suffering for us and God's suffering in what we go through has a point, that it's through Jesus' suffering that he is able to ultimately defeat death and defeat suffering. And so if we suffer with Jesus, we can participate in his victory over death as well, and his victory over suffering. So that is a very, very basic outline of what a Christian philosopher might say about the answer, about the problem of suffering. Whether this answer is enough to make it rational to believe in God, I can't say. I think only someone who has been through suffering and has seen for themselves how God can help them through it and whether God can help them through it can answer that question. But I don't think it's for me or anyone else looking in on the outside to say whether someone is rational to believe in God because of suffering.